Plaintiff Stephen Miller met the defendant at work, and he allowed her to move in with him. Stephen claims he constantly heard the defendant and her boyfriend having loud sex, and he's suing her today for unpaid rent and utilities. Defendant Sarah Townsend says Stephen was a terrible roommate because he drank constantly, and if he wasn't drinking, he was passed out drunk. Sarah claims as a result of Stephen's behavior, she was unable to use the common areas of their apartment, and she denies owing Stephen for anything.
Start with you.
All right, well, everybody knows the saying, you don't actually fully know somebody until you live with them. I actually met Sarah in the summer of 2012, and she would keep to herself at work. We worked at a restaurant together, and she didn't really mingle with staff members. But all in all, she seemed like, a very nice girl, but living with her was a complete and utter nightmare. She, would leave dishes in the sink. The only time that she would leave, to get off the couch is if she was either stuffing her face or having...
That's really funny because you were always on the couch sleeping, passed out from drinking.
She's lying, Your Honor. I definitely wasn't passed out from drinking. I would either be out at a friend's house.
Does she work? Sounds like you said she worked.
What's that?
Sounds like you're saying that she worked.
She works.
Okay,
I work.
Well, she did get off the couch to go to work.
No, I'd be up at 7 a.m. going to work, and he'd be passed out on the couch. I'd come home at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and he'd still be passed out on the couch. Or he'd be out drinking with his friends.
Which is not true. That's not true.
But he went to work also.
Because I work night shifts.
Sometimes.
Oh.
He also got fired from where
I
we
work
met
six
from being
days
late
a week.
and drinking.
You were fired?
That's actually a lie as well.
You haven't been fired?
No,
You've never been fired?
That's not true. I was let go from the job. That's correct.
That's called fired. Let go.
But...
Go ahead, sir. That was the only problem? No arguing about anything?
Well, there was times that I would actually hear her and her boyfriend, having loud sex, and it got to the point where I would have to turn either the TV up or physically actually leave the address. So she would leave.
Did you have anybody?
What's that?
Did you have anybody?
No.
Oh.
No.
Sorry to hear that.
Sir.
Sorry to hear that. We're gonna find you somebody before you leave. You give her something to listen to.
Well, there was times that I would actually hear her and her boyfriend, having loud sex, and it got to the point where I would have to turn either the TV up or physically actually leave the address. So she would leave.
Did you have anybody?
What's that?
Did you have anybody?
No.
Oh.
No.
We're gonna find you somebody before you leave. You give her something to listen to.
Defendant Sarah Townsend is being sued by her former roommate, who claims he often heard Sarah having loud sex with her boyfriend in their apartment.
Let me hear from you, ma'am. You give me some background.
Well, when I moved in, it turned out to be far from an ideal situation. Like I mentioned before, he was always drinking. I'd wake up, he'd be drinking. I'd come home, he'd be drinking, or he'd be passed out. I was never allowed to use common areas because he was passed out in the living room all the time.
Those are all lies.
I wasn't able to watch the cable. I wasn't able to use the kitchen. Common areas. I was promised to use common areas when I moved in. Everything was supposed to be 50-50. Wasn't allowed a garage spot, which is part of the 50-50. My car was out in the driveway all winter after I was promised a garage spot.
When did you move in?
December 22nd of 2013.
And how long did you stay?
I moved out March 22nd, 2014.
All right. Did you talk to him about those things?
Yes.
And what would he say?
His response was, oh, we'll figure it out. Oh, we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Sir, what do you want to tell me about the rent and the utility bills?
Well, the rent, we had the agreement that everything was 50-50. However...
How much was the rent?
The rent was $500 a month,
okay.
January, February, and March of 2014. However, I prorated the rent on December of 2013.
Which was never discussed prior to me moving in.
When did she move in?
She moved in December 22nd, so I'm not going to charge her $500.
How much did you charge her?
$145.
Did she pay that month?
She would pay sporadically. I expected rent on the 1st, and...
Which was never discussed
Hold on,
prior to
ma'am.
moving in.
She would give me money whenever she felt like it. $200 here, like one day.
You told her you needed it on the
On the
first or
first.
thereabouts?
Absolutely.
You say he told you he needed it when?
He never provided me with a specific date.
Oh, so you just thought you'd give it to him whenever?
I gave it to him every payday. Whenever I also babysat for my old boss.
That's when you'd pay him?
So I'd pay him whenever I got paid.
You ever rent from anyone else?
Yes.
And they allowed that situation? Pay me when you can?
No, they gave me a specific date that I needed to pay.
Did you know that most landlords want their money like within the first 5 days
Yes.
of the month?
And it's also been in a lease agreement.
Right. So you
Right.
thought he was different?
No, we never signed a lease.
I didn't ask
Never
you that. I didn't
provided-
ask you that. We're talking about paying the landlord at the beginning of the month. So my question, did you think he was different from most landlords in the entire world?
No, I never really thought of it that way. I never thought of that, though.
Okay.
Because
well,
it
I'm
was-
asking you now. Do you think he's different, that he would not want his money the first week?
No.
And you knew that then?
Sure, yeah.
All right, but you decided to pay him when you want. Go ahead.
Well, and if you do, I have a spreadsheet of the actual dates that she, when she paid,
Let's see it.
and actually how much she paid.
And you say, let's see it. And what about the bills? This includes the utility
Utilities
bills?
and Comcast as well, Your Honor.
All right, now it's part of the agreement, ma'am?
Yes.
All right. And you have different amounts for the cable bills per month. 2 of them are for $59, one for $60, and another large cable bill for $126. That's when you must have been ordering some stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was all me.
Somebody was ordering some stuff that month. All right. That's
Well,
you was
actually, Your Honor,
making them noises. Go ahead. All right, go ahead, sir.
Well, Your Honor, that's actually when we
Electric.
had it. DVR, so that's what spiked the bill up a little bit more.
All right. And the electric bill, that can vary. Did you pay January 14?
Yes.
How much?
I don't remember off the top.
All right. Did you pay February 14?
Yes.
How much?
I don't remember.
All right. Did you pay March 14?
Yes.
How much?
I don't remember.
Okay, he remembers every single month. In fact, he wrote them down. So who do you think I should rely on? The person who knows and wrote it down, or you who says you don't know how much you paid him?
I have them written down, but they're in here.
Take your time, pull them out.
Okay.
Ma'am, did you want to say anything while she looks? You can stand up and tell me, oh, we have it. You can still speak if you like. Go ahead. You can still speak if you like. State your name.
Susan Foster. I'm her mother.
Okay. All right. You look like you pay your bills. You didn't teach her? You didn't teach her to pay her bills? Go ahead. What do you want to tell me, if anything, that can shed light on this?
Well, I know my daughter to be a very responsible person. I was concerned that this was a verbal agreement, that there was nothing in writing, and also concerned when she would tell me about the living conditions and that she was stuck in her room and not able to use the common areas.
She began telling you about that when?
I'd say within a month or so after moving in.
Okay. Her testimony is reliable to me, sir. 2 of them are for $59, one for $60, and another large cable bill for $126. That's when you must have been ordering some stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was all me.
Somebody was ordering some stuff that month. All right. That's
Well,
you
actually, Your Honor,
making them noises. Go ahead.
Defendant Sarah Townsend is being sued by her former roommate, who claims he often heard Sarah having loud sex with her boyfriend in their apartment.
Probably doesn't remember me giving him much money. He was always drunk or emotional or crying. You cried a lot?
No, Your Honor.
There were numerous
Is that her
times.
testimony? Or?
Yeah, she says you probably don't remember her giving you much money because you were always drunk or emotional or crying.
Which is a complete
What was he
lie.
crying? You have any?
I would wake up in the morning to go to work, and there was one specific morning where I came downstairs and he was bawling his eyes out at the counter. And I
Sorry.
asked him
My
what
dad's
was
dad.
wrong.
Yeah, what did he say?
And he didn't say anything, and so I said, okay, well, whatever, like, I'm leaving. And he sent me text messages later saying, you don't know what it's like to go through a father's death, at least you have your father, and playing a guilt trip.
So you're admitting you were a little emotional
That
during
day,
that
absolutely,
time.
I was.
Absolutely. That's reasonable, ma'am. But you couldn't remember anything, ma'am. I don't remember how much. You could have, all of these ranged from 200 to 250. It would have been very easy for you today to say about 200 because every single month, that's what it was about, $1,429. I rely on your records, which are very concrete. You remembered every single thing. You wrote them and you have them. You wrote them and have them, but didn't remember one thing. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.
I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say either. Then I will never be having a slum ball.
Yourself.
You have yourself too. It's nice knowing you. Have a good
Great.
life. You're gonna go far.